Hi, this is Greg with Lionquestfitness. We're going to have a little bit of fun today. We're going to be talking about something called the Cavalry draw, or the twist draw. And as the old saying goes, necessity is the mother of invention. But before we do that, let me show you what we're going to be using today. Now, this is a hunter holster, the kind that they used to make for Smith & Wesson way back in the day, in the 70s and the 80s. This was a gift from Garage Guy 879. Thank you, Mark. I've had it about a year, and I love bringing this holster. I love bringing this out. It's an old classic. Now, the gun we're going to use today is a Smith & Wesson Model 15, aka a combat masterpiece. And I've got Altamont grips on this gun. Also, I've got the BK grips. These are polymer. It's like the T grips, the Tyler T grips, but these are polymer. And this looks pretty good. Also, when you order them, they come in a very timely fashion. You can usually get them in about 2 days as opposed to 8 weeks with the Tyler T grips. Now, these are polymer as compared to the metal grips that Tyler does. And they only have 2 colors. One is an ivory color, and I don't really like that one, but I do like the black ones. All right, so much for that. Let's talk about the Cavalry draw, or the twist draw. All right, back in the early 80s, as I was trying to break into law enforcement, going to school for criminal justice, working part-time as a security officer. I worked for a security company where one of my jobs, I worked part-time as a campus security officer at a local college. And this was an armed position where I had to qualify and be licensed as armed security. Now, back in those days, and even back today, left-handed holsters are few and far between, especially back then. A little more accessible now, but I do find that, and I'm a lefty, okay, and I do find that it is hard that sometimes you'll see a holster you really like, and then you find out they only sell it or they only have it as a right-handed holster. Or if you do order it, you know, it's several months before you get it because they have to special make it. Hey, that's a fact of life for us lefties. So anyway, for the first 6 months on duty, I had to carry a right-handed holster. So I learned how to do, and I knew nothing about the Cavalry draw or twist draw, but I figured out that I could carry the gun like this, and if I was careful and brought the gun up my body, I could come out like that. And if you practice enough, it didn't take long to get your firearm out like that. All right, I'm filming this a little out of sequence because of the wind yesterday. Now, let's talk real quick where the Cavalry draw came from. We're going to go back to the American Civil War, and where the sword was becoming obsolete. It was becoming more practical to carry a revolver or 2 revolvers in a cavalry charge because it was much safer to shoot from a distance as it was to close with the enemy at close quarters with a saber. All right. The majority of the wounding in the American Civil War was from cannon fire and from rifle fire. However, the military being slow to change, you know, cavalry sword. So the sword was carried on the weak side so that it could be drawn with the strong hand. And the revolver was carried on the other hip, on the strong side hip, with the butt forward for a reverse draw with the weak hand. The whole idea is sword in one hand, dominant hand, revolver in the weak hand. Well, in practicality, that didn't happen. And as time moved on, especially in the aftermath of the Civil War, the cavalry began to abandon the saber and carrying the swords. And individual soldiers developed an unofficial style of drawing the weapon, which became the cavalry draw, or the twist draw. Now, one more thing. At the beginning of the video, I had that picture of Wild Bill Hickok. And supposedly Hickok favored the cavalry or twist draw. But the setup he had was for a cross draw followed by the cavalry draw. So let's go to the shooting. Actually got 4 right there. Now, is this the best way the fastest way or most efficient way to draw a handgun? No. But once again, you may have to adapt depending on the gun, the holster you have available, and other circumstances. Now, I mentioned Santee from the Arizona Ghost Riders, and he was interested in how I did this. But I worked for a small agency for a period of time, small town police department, and once again, they didn't have a left-handed holster for me. They had to order it, and of course that took months. So what I had to do was learn to draw out of a right-handed holster. And what I would do, I would go into an isosceles stance as I drew that gun, and then I would palm the gun over to my left hand. So let's see how that looks. Uh-oh, dropped one down here. Alright, is this the best way to draw your firearm? No. Is this the fastest way? No. But sometimes you may have to adapt to unique circumstances. So anyway, I hope you had a little fun with this. This is Greg with Lionquestfitness.